Hi, I am Karen Martel from Karen Martel Nutrition. And if you don't know who I am, I help women to reclaim their health and find their weight loss code through diet, stress management, digestion, and hormone health. And today is the part 1 of my 4-part series on those 4 pillars of women's health. I get a lot of questions sent in to me about how it is I coach women to lose weight, and a lot of people don't understand that there's a lot more to losing weight than just, hey, here's what to eat, here's your diet, see you later. And that's about 90% of, actually probably more than that, probably like 95% of diets out there is what they do, is all just, here, eat this. This is the magic diet, and you can follow this for 60 days or 30 days or 21 or whatever it is, and you'll lose weight. And we all know, if you've been around for a while, like myself, that they don't work. 98% of diets fail. Now, that is a very sad statistic. And so if you are on a diet right now, let me just advise you maybe to just hop off, because it's a matter of time before it fails. And I don't want to be all doom and gloom. And we will get into the fine details of that statement in the next couple of weeks during this video series. So today we're going to be starting with one of my fave topics. And I think it's something, I'm going to start with this one because I feel like it's one of the ones that people read on my website and think, how does that have to do with my weight? And that's digestion. There's a lot of people that don't get that your digestion and the health of your digestion has a massive impact, not only on losing weight, but as well how you feel on a day-to-day basis. And so it's if your digestion is working properly and you're feeling good and you don't have inflammation and your energy is up, well, to eat healthy is a lot easier to do as well. So all of those things are impacted greatly by how well the digestive system is working. Okay, fine example, I see women quite often that come in here that tell me, hey Karen, I've got this extra 30 pounds on me. I go to the gym every day. I've been eating super healthy, typical diet of, wake up, I have my oats, my overnight oats. I then have an apple for a snack. For lunch, I'll have my whole wheat wrap with lean turkey meat and vegetables, or a bowl of soup. For mid-afternoon, once again, maybe fruit or a granola bar or a protein bar, maybe a shake, something like that. And then dinner, they tend to, try to do the chicken, the lean chicken, some brown rice, and some vegetables. Sounds great, right? You're thinking, geez, what's wrong with that? But how many of you, if I could see you, raise your hand, are following that and you're not losing weight? Okay, so that can have a lot to do with the foods that you're eating are not great for your digestive system. And a lot of people don't realize that because they've been told, eat the high fiber foods, eat your oats, eat your whole grains. And unfortunately, if you've got a compromised gut system, that is probably some of the worst things that you could be eating. So we'll get into the details of those later, but just so you guys can get an example of what I'm talking about. And usually all of those women will tend to have digestive problems. They'll say, I've been eating so clean and so healthy. And I'll say, well, how's your digestive system? Oh, well, I don't poop very well. I don't, every maybe couple of days, and it's, hard, or maybe they've got diarrhea, or they get really bloated. So, by the end of the day, they've got the bloated stomach that's, your pants fit in the morning, but then they didn't fit by the time you got home, sort of thing. It's spilling over the top. I used to live like that. I used to come home and just couldn't wait to undo the top button. And I'd even have to undo it sometimes on my way home from work in the car. This was before, a long time ago. So, that says something. If you've got, or they've got chronic heartburn or GERD, things like that. So this is signs and symptoms that there could be a problem with the digestive system, okay? So today what we're going to be covering, signs and symptoms of bad digestion, how it can impact your health, how it can impact your weight, underlying causes of digestive issues, and what you can do about it, of course, right? And I'm also going to tell you where to go to get my free giveaway to help you get started on some of these tools that I'm going to be giving you today to help correct your digestive system. So first of all, do you have digestive issues? A lot of people ask that and they're like, oh, no, it's good. And I'll say, well, do you get bloated? Well, yeah, I get bloated. Do you have inflammation? Yeah, I have inflammation. So these are all can be signs, right? Stomach pain, heartburn, diarrhea, constipation, nausea, like after eating, bloating, of course, like I said, ulcers. So if you have chronic ulcers or the burning sensation in your stomach, that can be a sign of ulcers, and gastroesophagus reflux disease, which feels like heartburn. So it's like the juices are coming back up into your throat and burning after you eat something. It can come with excessive belching. Okay, so these are all signs that there could be an issue happening. And then some unrelated stuff that a lot of people don't realize could be related to a bad digestion. ADD, ADHD, autoimmune conditions. That's a huge one. I work with a lot of women with autoimmune conditions. Anybody that they've ever tested for leaky gut in autoimmune patients, 100% of them have come out with a positive result. So basically, it means everybody that has an autoimmune condition basically has a suboptimal digestive system. Leaky gut is when the walls of the intestinal walls have actually been so irritated they start to break open, and they're not supposed to, and they actually look like this in the intestinal walls. They have these little junctions. These junctions start to break open because they're so irritated, or if we have use of antibiotics too much, or we're too stressed out, which we're all going to get into, and food particles can start leaking into the bloodstream, which they're not supposed to, which then sets up an immune attack towards it. So 100% of autoimmune people have some degree of leaky gut. Okay. Other things, skin disorders like acne, eczema, psoriasis, or hives all relate to gut. Anxiety, depression, all the new science that's been coming out is that, the gut is our second brain, and it is directly related to the brain activity, so when there is gut problems, you may be suffering with anxiety or depression from that, even though you don't have outward gut problems. Like if everything's running smooth, at least you think it is, but yet you suffer with anxiety. There's a lot of people that take certain things out of their diet and find that it really helps with those problems. Okay, bad breath, cancer, other neurological disorders, autism, and hormone dysregulation. So those are just a few, but you can pretty much count on the fact that a number of major health diseases, if not all of them, have some component to having an altered digestive system, okay, where there's an impact on it. So whether or not the disease itself causes digestive problems, or the digestive problems are not necessarily the cause, but are influencing those diseases, okay? So always, first and foremost, if you feel like you have a serious digestive problem, of course, I have to say, go to your doctor, get the testing first, find out if there is an underlying problem like Crohn's or celiac or ulcers. These are all things that an MD should be looking after. And so if that's the case, then call up your MD and find out. So first of all, I'm going to talk about something about digestive system. We all assume immediately, okay, well, digestive system has to do with the food we eat. And one of the biggest impacts on our digestive system is stress. And a lot of people don't know that. We have something called our sympathetic and our parasympathetic nervous system. And the the parasympathetic nervous system is like the rest and digest system in our body. And the sympathetic nervous system is for things like our fight or flight response, right? So sympathetic nervous system will kick in when your body perceives stress. So this was meant to be so that, you know, back in the day when we're hunter-gatherers, our fight or flight would kick in when, you know, there was a tiger chasing us or something like that, and we had to get the hell out of there fast. And so what it does is it kicks on, and it actually sends blood flow to the extremities of the body, and it stops digestion, because digestion, that, you know, your body is going, okay, now it's not the time to A, eat because we're being chased by a tiger. So, and B, you know, we got to get the hell out of here fast. So everything has to go to the extremities, and we got to get the heck out of here. Right. So you're like probably thinking, well, you know, there's no tigers chasing me, so what does this have to do with me? Well, that's right. We don't have any tigers anymore, but we still are all in just today's world. Our body is constantly perceiving a lot of stress right now. And that's just from our work environment, even just all the lights around us, all the artificial lighting creates stress on your body. If you're a woman that's, you know, working 5 days a week, and you've got 3 kids, and you've got the husband, and you got the household to maintain, and you're running around and you're never having any downtime to yourself, then you can count on the fact that your body is staying in a somewhat high stress state constantly, you know, throughout the day, that it's never relaxing. So that sympathetic nervous system is coming on way too much, and maybe even just constantly is on. And your body then starts to not get what it needs in the digestive system, and it starts to greatly impact the digestive system. So we need to chill out. And if you've been following me for a while, I always talk about the impact of stress, because that's another one of my pillars of health. So you'll start to see in the next couple of weeks, when I'm talking about these 4 pillars, how much they're all intertwined with each other and how one affects the other. So much so that they shouldn't even be apart sometimes, that they're all kind of in, like, stress is also hormonal, right? So then there's the hormones, and then it affects all your other hormones, and then that affects your digestion, and then that affects the food that you can eat. So all intertwined. So in order to, of course, help that, it's probably the hardest thing to adjust in today's world. And I always tell women that you know, it's so easy to change what you eat for the most part, or it's so easy to go out and get more exercise and do all these little things. And the hardest part is to de-stress. And I have seen women, I have worked with thousands of women, and that one gets more of them than any of the other ones. And I've seen when they do everything right, they do everything that I tell them except for the stress management part, and that impacts their results in losing weight more than anything else. And it's not until I see, after a period of time, because it takes a while to readjust that system of constantly bringing your body into a state of relaxation, either through meditation, yoga, walking in nature, mindfulness. There's a ton of different things that can just time alone and not doing anything is nice and relaxing for the system, right? So something that actually not a lot of women do. So just implementing that consistently every day into your life somewhere can have such an impact. And it's what I see finally that will get a woman to let go of body weight after doing everything else. It's the final kicker that finally does it. So keep that in mind, okay? So second main cause of digestive issues is food sensitivities. So food sensitivities is different than food allergies. So food allergen is a very quick response. So, you know, you eat something like you can just think of somebody that gets an anaphylactic response to a food. Even if it's not anaphylactic, it's still really quick if you are allergic to something. It's like, you know, boom, hives break out, or boom, the mouth swells as soon as you eat something, right? It's very quick to react, the immune system. When food sensitivities, it can take up to like 24 to 48 hours actually to show up. that you were sensitive to a food. Okay, so a bit different on how that triggers your body. And food sensitivities have a huge impact on your weight. And a lot of us don't realize that, okay? Food sensitivity can create inflammation, digestive problems, which are all major causes of weight loss resistance, okay? When your gut's damaged from those food sensitivities, or from, let's say, it can be caused by antibiotics, ibuprofen, stress, parasites, candida. These are all things that can cause and create food sensitivities. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. Because once again, remember, I'll go back to that leaky gut. If your gut is leaking, it's usually from either the food you eat or the antibiotics that you've taken. And I've seen people that have taken one round of antibiotics and boom, they're super food sensitive suddenly. Not maybe to everything, but they'll have very specific, like suddenly I eat such and such and I'm breaking out in eczema, or I'm getting inflammation or something like this. I've seen kids, I've worked with some kids that one boy in particular, never had antibiotics in his life, did like routine tonsillectomy and had antibiotics given to him, and boom, had major digestive issues and food sensitivities afterwards. So it can just be that, like, that one. So if you've had a number of rounds on antibiotics and you have a lot of gut problems, this could be a real sign that there's a food sensitivity happening to maybe multiple foods. Okay. And when that gut is leaking, those food particles, like I had mentioned before, are leaking out into the bloodstream, and then your body has to set up an immune attack towards them, which means now you're food sensitive to it. And that immune response causes inflammation. And when you have inflammation, this can lead to weight loss resistance as well, okay? And actually to many different issues when you have chronic inflammation happening in the body. That's where the Energize app really comes into play. Food, of course, has a massive impact on that, but also food sensitivities do, because it creates inflammation, and inflammation makes you feel really tired, not only sore in your body, but really tired. So there's a big correlation with those two right there. All right. So second, if you are not breaking down your food because you're not having the best digestive system, you're not absorbing those really important nutrients that affect your metabolism, like B vitamins, iron, magnesium. You're missing out on a lot of key nutrients that's going to help with that body function. And a lot of people don't realize that either. One of the things that I'll suggest doing is taking a digestive enzyme for a period of time, just so you can start your body can get absorbing all those nutrients that you've been missing out on because you have poor digestion. Okay, and we'll get to that. So also, when you're not digesting properly, you're not able to, for a lot of people, you're not able to eliminate a lot of that waste, right? Poop. You're not getting what you should through. And for some people think, well, I poop every day, but maybe you're not enough. Maybe you're just having, just a tiny amount come out. And it's when that waste is sitting in there, then your body is reabsorbing a lot of those toxins. And that just causes it's taxing on the entire system, on your liver. And we need a healthy liver for our hormones and for our metabolism. So this is, once again, it affects many systems in the body. And so that's another reason why you want to be, pooping. You want to be making sure that you eliminate properly when you, after you eat, right? So, besides that, we've got, so besides those main things, of course, there can be underlying infections. Okay, so a lot of people will change their diet. We get them on the right supplements. They might lose some weight in the beginning, But, and then with digestion, it certainly improves, but yet they still have some bloating or they still have pain in the gut. And this is a sign after, a couple months, if there's still problems coming around, then we know that there's probably something underlying that needs to be looked at. The main ones are parasites. Those are a lot more common than people think. I had one myself, and after dealing with digestive issues for years, I finally got a comprehensive stool test done and found out I had a really horrible parasite that I'd picked up when I was living down in Mexico when I was in my early 20s. So there we go, right? So, and through my practice now, it's something that I can usually I know the symptoms of it now. So, and I know a lot about parasites, so that I have had numerous clients that I suggested go check to see if you have parasites, and sure enough, they always come back saying yes, they have something. So don't think that just because, and one of the things that you can tell about parasites is if you've traveled internationally and when you were there, like let's say you go to Mexico and you had, the traveler's diarrhea and you were really sick for a couple of days, either puking or pooping or whatever. And since then you've felt like you've had digestive problems, or maybe it comes and goes since then. So, you might have a couple months of feeling okay. And then you suddenly have those symptoms back again for like 24 hours and you assume, oh, I must have got another flu bug. But if this is a trend in your life, then I would highly suggest going and getting tested for those parasites. Okay. Another really common one is overgrowth of candida. So it's normal for us to have some levels of candida in our body, but a lot of the time we can get an overgrowth. And I think a lot of people are quite familiar with that, with yeast overgrowth of candida. It can be from taking too much antibiotics once again, or just one round of antibiotics. One round of antibiotics actually wipes out a third of your bacteria. So if that's the case, then you didn't have great bacteria to start, then that can really impact the overgrowth of candida. All right. Another one is small intestinal bacteria overgrowth, which has just been kind of exploding in the last 2 years. And so that's an overgrowth, like it sounds, an overgrowth of actually good bacteria, but in the wrong place. It's down in the small intestine. Once again, overuse of antibiotics, stress is a big impact on it. There could be underlying infections like parasites that are causing it, or yeast. Causes a lot of lower abdominal gut pain, lots of bloating. And there's a lot of naturopaths now that are testing for this, so you can look it up if you feel like that's something that rings a bell for you and your health problems. So those are a couple of the really common ones. There's other ones like H. pylori, which can be causing symptoms of GERD, the gastroesophageal reflux disease, can be an underlying infection of H. pylori, and your MD can test you for that. So if you've had GERD for a long time and you've been trying to, eat well and you're healthy and it's not going away, I would definitely check for that. All right, so those are just a few things, some other just issues that could have an impact on your gut system, or the guts that need to be cleared up, like I was talking about, is fibromyalgia, endometriosis, PCOS, cancer, heart disease, diabetes, chronic sinusitis, inflammation of the joints like rheumatoid arthritis. These are all things that your gut can impact and make worse, right? And it's like, once again, we don't know what happens first, the chicken or the egg. All right, so foods. Let's talk about foods now. You're like, finally, Jesus. Foods most likely to cause the digestive issues. Okay, so these are the top food sensitivities: dairy, eggs, mostly egg whites, I have to say. I don't think anybody's ever come to me with a food sensitivity test where egg whites weren't something that they were allergic to. And I'm starting to think that probably everybody comes up with that food sensitivity because the enzyme, the whites contain an enzyme in it that protects the egg yolk. And I think just in general, we're not so, the enzyme is there to protect the egg yolk, so we have an immune reaction to it. So eggs should always be something that I always tell clients, just, eat them every couple of days rather than every single day in large amounts, especially if you have digestive problems. It can be if your gut problems are really bad or if you have an autoimmune condition, eggs should certainly go out for at least 30 days and then reintroduced, and you can see how you feel. And then some people will find that they can just tolerate the egg yolk. So that's an option too. You have to have a lot of egg yolks to make, a decent sized meal out of it, and you waste a lot of the whites. I had to do that for a period of time, but it is an option if you really want to have your eggs. Dairy, did I say that? Dairy is one of those foods that it's good for you. If you're eating whole fat, good dairy products, organic, or at least, where it's coming from, and it's not full of a whole bunch of hormones and antibiotics, then for sure, dairy in full fat can be a great thing to have in your diet. It's, rich in calcium and magnesium, and it's low in carbohydrates, and it's got no sugar, at least in cheese, yogurt, and milk does. But, and this doesn't include, I usually don't include milk when I say dairy, because milk is just too highly processed. And so unfortunately, majority of people just shouldn't be drinking it. But full fat cheeses and stuff, and yogurts, because they have the good probiotics, are really good, can be really good for you. But unfortunately, the protein in dairy is one of the highest food sensitivities. So until your gut has healed and it's not leaking anymore, then I highly suggest removing the dairy for a period of time. Okay. Gluten-containing grains is definitely one of the highest and one of the ones I see most often in my practice. So gluten, of course, is in bread, it's in crackers, unless it says gluten-free. It's in a lot of different types of grains as well, like barley, and it can be in some traces of it. It can be in oats. And gluten is just, and it doesn't matter who you are, I find that majority of people nowadays are food sensitive to it, because gluten, the way it is now, it's just, it's not the same as it was, 100, 200 years ago. It actually destroys the gut lining, and it doesn't matter who you are, it irritates it. And it causes inflammation in our gut. So if you have this like rock and roll gut system and it's doing amazing, then, the odd gluten here and there, go for it. If you don't find any adverse reaction, for sure. But if you're listening to this, my guess is you have digestive problems, and you've been resisting removing the gluten out of your diet, but it can have the largest impact on how somebody feels out of any food that I've ever removed out of someone's diet. So just putting it out there. The other one's corn. Corn is definitely a highest food sensitivity. Soy, that includes soy milk, all soy products. Soy is one of the highest GMOs, so is corn. So that has something to do with it. Our gut systems do not like it. And I find that, soy in general and soy products really make women gain weight, and they make you super bloated. So never go near it. I always say don't touch it with a 10-foot pole. Like things like soy milk, soy cheese, soy meat. It's undigestible in the human system. Like it's so hard for our bodies. Plus it mimics estrogen in our bodies, and we're already very estrogen dominant, which we're going to talk about in another video cast. But yeah, definitely don't want to go near the soy. Okay. And the other one is peanuts. So besides those ones, what falls underneath those is if you have a really irritated gut system, I would actually stay away from all grains, because if your gut is leaking enough, so it's in a bad condition, your body will see all grain as gluten. So if it's already got an immune attack against the gluten, which it will likely have, it is seeing all grain as gluten. So you're going to get an immune response to all grain. And that includes rice, brown rice, oats. These can be really hard on the digestive system if it's compromised. okay? And it's called genetic mimicry. So your body just sees, it's in such a state of inflammation, it's in such a state that it sees them as the same. Okay, so until things have calmed down and things have started to heal up, you want to remove all grains for a period of time until you start to feel better. And then you can reintroduce some of those non-gluten containing grains and see how your body does and how it handles them. The other one, unfortunately, is beans. And beans they're great. They're full of nutrients. They've got lots of protein in them, lots of vitamins and minerals. And I'd much rather somebody have beans than grains with a meal. But once again, super hard for the body to digest. Both grains and beans have something called phytates and lectins in them, which can be really irritating to the gut lining and cause inflammation to the gut. So once again, for a period of time, removing those foods can really help to heal and seal up that gut lining, okay, and get you back on the mend. So as far as diet goes, that's my main solutions to help you get back on track with your gut system. What's nice is though that will also help you to lose weight. So it's you get a little bit of both in there, and you'll get your energy back again because your body won't be in such a state of inflammation. So removing those for a period of time is one of the best things that you can do. If you go to my website at KarenMartel.com, you can receive my free download for either my 10-day body reboot, or you can do a 4-week sampler menu plan. Either one is fantastic, you guys. These are 2 free downloads that remove all of those foods, except for one of the sampler meal plans actually does have grains and beans in it, but they are gluten-free. But the 10-day one is awesome. It's a beautiful program, and it's all about removing those foods for a period of 10 days and reassessing then how you feel. And almost 100% of cases, everybody just wants to keep going after they've done the 10 days. So it's a great starting place. It's not too overwhelming. I tell you exactly what to eat, what to cook, everything. The 4-week sampler menu plan, there's a ketogenic version, there's a paleo one, and each one is a week's meal plan. So you can choose all 4, or you can just choose one of them, but paleo, keto, and then there's an autoimmune one. For people with autoimmune, you take it a step. You take out all of those things I talked about, but you're also taking out nightshades, and you're also taking out nuts and seeds and the eggs for a period of time. Okay, eggs are in the diet. So if you feel like you're not feeling so good even after the 10 days, I would suggest doing the autoimmune one. Okay, so the autoimmune, you can also look at it as a very anti-inflammatory diet. So even if you don't suffer or haven't been diagnosed with autoimmune condition, following that plan can really help to reduce inflammation. Okay, so these are all awesome tricks, really great place to get started. And start with food. I always say you can take all the supplements in the world, you can take all the medications in the world, but if you haven't changed your diet, you are only going to get so far, period. All right. So always try to start with food first. There's tons of great supplements that can help the digestive system, but I would honestly see what changing your food does first, because for so many of my clients, it's all that it takes in order for them to feel 100% better. So start there. If you like what you're eating and you're enjoying following a meal plan, then be sure to check out my On Track membership program. You pay once a month. We've got memberships as low as $12.50 a month, $12.50 a month when you prepay for a year. If not, it's $25 a month. You get a meal plan sent to your inbox every Saturday. We've got, I do interviews with other health professionals. We do mini challenges within the group to help keep you motivated and on track. We do lots of group discussion in our Facebook page. If you just want to do it for your meal planning, then you can, but there's tons of value to the program, and we're constantly coming up with new stuff in it. And the whole purpose is to help women to stay on track, to help them improve their health. And you can be at any level in order to join the On Track program. It's for anybody. So, and there's group coaching, there's Q&As, so you have access to me all the time. So you can check that out off my website. And that's it for today. So you can join me next week for part 2, where we're going to jump into hormones, which is another favorite topic of mine, of course, right? And it's going to be about balancing our hormones and how our hormones, how those imbalances affect your weight and how you feel on a day-to-day basis. What are the symptoms, what you can do about it, where you can go get checked, things like that. So be sure to come join me next week, and we'll be talking about that. Okay, thanks.